In the second round of not the London Open, Xiao Yiching met with Yuan Ziyin, and this was a premature final. Xiao Yiching won not the London Open 1 year earlier, but back then Yuan Ziyin was not playing. The game started with one joseki, another joseki, and then black jumps out. A more common move here locally is this knight's move, pressing white down. However, it will certainly lead to a lot of complications. The most common continuation looks like this, and then many things can happen, but certainly the vicinity of these white stones will help white somehow in the fight. And maybe that's why black chose that large jump, after which white answered in a very interesting manner. This attachment tries to split black, and if black answers simply like this, white will be quite happy to play this crosscut and then probably add a move on the left side. Black has another way of playing, making this good shape, but still white gets something on the top side. So this is one way. There is another, even simpler way of playing, a kick and then jump. This is just like a famous kick and jump joseki, which starts with a 3-4 stone, to which black approaches, and then white plays kick, jumps, and then we just have this additional AB exchange, which is probably better for white. Instead, white played a move which looks quite surprising, and we would not be surprised with it if it happens after black's small jump. But after the large jump, it clearly leaves a cutting point. So now black doesn't want to simply push from the top and then make a shape in the center. Instead, black wants to use that weak point of white's shape, go through and cut. This is a joseki. White cannot certainly just play on the outside because there is this threat of black going through and completely destroying white's shape. White can try to strengthen the shape with a move like this, and then black cannot capture white in a ladder, but black can simply extend, and black wouldn't be dissatisfied with this result. White still needs to add a move in the corner to be completely alive. It's similar to the joseki which we looked at before, just with these exchanges, which would probably not happen if black plays this attachment, because white would rather answer from the bottom and not play this cut if there is no chance to then continue from that stone. Not to say that this is certainly bad for white to just go down like this, but maybe black can be satisfied extending here. Instead, white played this atari and only then extended down. So now it's not possible for black to push through because this black gives away a ponuki, a very, very strong shape for white stones. And even though now the corner has a lot of trouble, not sure if the corner can make live. Probably yes. White can somehow manage the situation, but it certainly has troubles. But with that shape on the outside, white doesn't need to get so much in the corner. White can be satisfied just with saving this stone, or perhaps even with some compromise like that. Black doesn't want to push through. Black goes down, then white blocks, and black needs to use this move to save his stones. After white extends, black would be very happy to use such a tesuji, which creates a double threat, either to capture these two stones or to capture those. However, the threat is not real this time, because white can simply play here and the ladder does not work for black. So black cannot use such a threat. Maybe even if the ladder did work for black, white would have a counter here. At this board, certainly it's not possible to use this tesuji, and instead black needs to crawl. Now, still black is not alive. If white gets this move, this is a dead shape. But if black needs to crawl so many times, it's not acceptable for black. White's stones can certainly right now be considered a wall, a very strong shape. There is a weak point in that shape, but white also gets a relatively big corner. And yeah, now this group of black is under big pressure. Certainly, these 7 points, which black gained by crawling on the second line, is not enough of a compensation. However, black can start with this move and not leave any doubts that white is dead here. So black cannot really play this move immediately, then white can simply capture the stones on the outside. But after crawling twice, black already has enough liberties to use this move. And how should white answer? The Joseki I know is this Hane. Black can continue this way, again threatening to play at A and capture white stones, and then white can strengthen the shape. Right now, white already has enough liberties, so if black continues, white captures black's group. So instead, black needs to push out, after which, if black plays here, first play here and then make life. This result is a Joseki, but in the game, we saw another move. White pushed out, giving away the whole corner to black, splitting black stones. And now these two stones are quite thin. So interesting. Actually, this is also an even result. Then black needed to save the stones on the top, yes, and white added a move on the left side, and then black continued. It's quite a gain for white to play such a move in center. Black decided that this is just big enough to add a stone on the left side. White got a lot of strength, but black took away white's corner, got 10 points there, and also got a few points on the top side. And white somehow needs to make use of the influence, so white first expands it with these moves, and then with the move on the bottom. A huge moyo for white, and black captured a stone. This surprised me a bit, because otherwise black might have an option to somehow threaten white's moyo by playing moves on the outside. But maybe black was afraid that if black tries to reduce the moyo immediately, then white can simply capture black's stone and get more strength on the outside. Or maybe even not play this move, but instead white might consider a move like that, which doesn't yet give black clear life in the corner. Afterwards, it might be possible to destroy black's eyes like this. Anyway, black captured the stone, gave white a stone on the outside, and then started a reduction of white's moyo. At first, it might seem that white should answer from the bottom, but unfortunately, this will give black an additional stone in the center, and then black might continue somewhere in the center. And this would, in turn, destroy a huge potential of that wall of white. Now, black's group in the center is relatively strong. It will be difficult to attack it. Moreover, on the bottom, white doesn't have territory yet. Later, black can still slide under. So instead of protecting the bottom side, white chose a move from the top. That was a very interesting strategic choice, and it works very well with that influence of white. Black tries to build a shape for the group, extends, white goes up, so here we see the basic Joseki, which can happen anywhere on the board. For example, next to the side, we often see such play, and here we see it also more in the center of the board. Black attaches, white plays Hane, black extends, white also extends. And now black will not block, as I showed on that other side, because this would leave a very nasty cutting point. Instead, it's more reasonable to fix the cutting point, but black found such a move too slack. White would continue by protecting the bottom side, and black doesn't have a base, doesn't have an access to the side of the board, so the group is very thin. Instead, black played this turn, not being afraid of white's push and cut, because black can easily give away a single stone, but instead, if he creates a base on the side, then the group will be very, very strong. So white cannot play like this. White needs to answer black's move and deny black a base on the side, but then it's much easier for black to build a shape. This is certainly a good exchange for black. So black could have just played like this, and the game would have continued in a relatively peaceful manner. If white goes from top, then maybe black can put some pressure on white's group and build shape, maybe then run out. This would be a normal game, not too crazy. But in the game, black played a more brave move. First, this exchange, of course, this makes a lot of sense. Without this exchange, white might have an option to connect the groups on the bottom. So first an exchange, and then this peep. Very aggressive move, because it leaves a weak point in black's shape. Black's dream is, of course, that white answers, and then black doesn't need to play like this, but maybe black can find a more efficient move. However, white can counterattack, and that's what white did. After this move, it's not easy for black to find a good spot. What should black do? If black pushes from above, which might be a first intuition of many players, how will it end? Can white now cut? Well, it leaves a very annoying agi in white's shape, but if white can somehow manage it, then black also has a lot of trouble. The groups on the outside can be split and captured, and also the move at B seals the other black's group in. So this might lead to a very difficult fight for black. Does black have other options? Maybe a bamboo joint here, but again, it leads to very annoying cutting points. If black jumps, then again white can push through and cut. But black found a very beautiful move. Black played this knight's move now. And yes, still black stones can be split. White can simply push through and cut. But if black can sacrifice that stone in this way, then black would be very satisfied with the result. Maybe now play here, or if there is some trouble around there, just an honest move here. Anyway, black got a lot of stones on the outside, so black doesn't need to be dissatisfied. So this push and cut would be not enough for white. Instead, white and plays this kosumi, which creates 3 cutting points at the same time. But of course, black will not save that cutting point. Black needs to connect these stones. These are the most important. So black plays the bamboo joint, and white continues with hane. Black extended, white found a weak point in black's shape, black answered. And well, how is the situation right now? Can white still attack black's group? So I thought that white might continue with this double knight's move, because this is a good shape which seals black in and creates a potential on the right side of the center of the board. However, black's group is not really in trouble. Black can create one eye by capturing white stone in a net, and also it should be relatively easy for black to create an eye on the side. If white plays on the side instead, then black will have time to run out with the group or go towards the other side and create another eye there. So black's group is not really in trouble, and this compensation, this wall, is it really useful? On the bottom, the potential is reduced. Maybe white can still dream of some potential in the center, but it's very difficult to build points in the center if there are no weak groups of the opponent. Instead, white chose a different direction, and this looks reasonable because on the top side of the center of the board, it's much easier to create points. A lot fewer moves needed to actually seal that part of the board. So again, black can continue like this, creating eyes, or maybe rather running out towards this side. But perhaps with just one move, white can already claim quite a big territory in the center. Still, black might try going in. It's difficult to build territory in the center, but it's a more realistic plan than building the right side of the center. White is a bit short on points. Black has 10 points in the top left corner, 7 points in the bottom left, 11 points in the bottom right. In the top right, black has more, 26. So in total, we have 55 points for black. And where are white's points? White doesn't really have much secure territory. If we consider these 2 stones dead, maybe those points secure, up to 20 points. Maybe here a few points of relatively secure territory, but white still needs to create at least 20 more points after black makes life, let's say, like this. So white might try by expanding the top side, but black also has potential for building points. Black can play here. Also, this group of white is not completely safe. Probably the game is a bit better for black at this stage, though it's always very difficult to judge if one player has secure territory and the other player has influence. So rather the way I judge such positions is from the flow of the stones, how the position has happened on the board. And here it seemed that white was attacking this group of black, but then black made life with the group. It seemed a bit too simple, and the white got nothing on the bottom. Well, there is some compensation in the center. But then instead of playing this clean move, black played an Atari. It seems that black is trying to capture white in a ladder, but the ladder doesn't work. So what does black plan? Well, probably black thinks that there is an agi in white's shape. So white should connect, but after white connects, black doesn't need to extend. Black can play a more active move. But it comes at a big risk. White can pull out this stone, and he did so immediately. This is white's chance to shake the board and make the position much more complicated. Black cannot cut now. Before cutting, black needs to somehow go out with the stones, maybe play Atari and then cut. But how will this fight finish? White might start taking away liberties on the outside, but it's possible for black to push through, cut, and white has not enough liberties, only 2. If white extends first and then blocks, it's the same story. If white extends twice, then black already plays an Atari. If white jumps instead, again, white has no way to save all the stones, which means that black saves his group. Maybe white can find some sort of compromise if white is able to connect underneath, but it seems that even this is not possible. So it's a difficult position for white. Probably white cannot afford playing moves on the outside. Instead, white needs to add a stone on the inside, after which black will play on the outside. These stones can run out. However, white can make life on the bottom. And then this group is again in danger. So black needs to run. White will spend some moves to put pressure on that group. Maybe afterwards go back to the complicated situation on the left side. And who knows how the game will develop. So this was an unnecessary risk by black. Now the game becomes very complicated. Instead of playing this Atari, black played another move which also threatens capturing white stones. White again extended, and then black would cut, and it would be all similar to what we discussed. However, black found a different move. Black can use the agi in white's shape immediately. Push through now. White cannot block because of the cut. White cannot go out and block because of the cut. White might find a different way, jump, play the bamboo, but then if black pushes in, plays this move, then white doesn't have time to save the group on the bottom side. So this would be a very good option for black, using this agi immediately, and I was surprised that black didn't use it. Probably he must have been afraid that at this point white chooses something different. Like this, white just dies with the cutting stones. This is not possible for white. White might play here. If black saves that group, then white cuts here, and now white can in turn attack black's group on the bottom. That's some compromise. And then if black connects, it becomes a complicated fight, but maybe white has some chances in it. So black decided to not use the agi in white's shape in this way, but instead to take this vital point of white shape and also of black shape on the bottom, trying to force white to connect the stones. After white connected, black's plan was most probably to play on the left side. If white continues to connect, the whole group of white is in a deep trouble. Probably it doesn't have chance to create 2 eyes. So instead of simply connecting, white started to fight. White played from the outside and played this pseudo net. However, now black can simply capture 3 stones, and it becomes a compromise, which black cannot be dissatisfied with. It's quite similar to the other variations which we discussed already, where black makes life with the group. Also here, black could simply make life with the group. Moreover, for the future, there is an agi in white shape. Black might start the ko. Black also risks something on this ko, but there is this agi. So this was an option for black, but black was not satisfied with it. just like black was not satisfied with simply capturing this stone. Maybe black's judgment of the whole board position was that white's moyo on the top side is too large and black needs to play in a more efficient and more aggressive way. So right now, instead of simply capturing 3 white stones, black pushed through once, twice, played Atari, another Atari, and now black might try to run out, but there is not much hope for the group in running out. However, black has also another possibility. Black can start a ko here. And in this ko, black can win really a lot. If black wins this ko, black captures the whole group of white on the bottom side. It's a lot of points. Black needs to find the ko threat first, but black played all these exchanges before with a plan. The plan is to use this ko threat. If white connects, black captures. And does white have any threats? The ko is very large, so it's difficult for white to find threats. White didn't answer the threat. White can also gain match on the ko, so white captured further. Black killed white's cutting stones, very big gain for black. But now white can capture black's corner. So this time, black lived with the group on the bottom, but lost the corner. However, black gets a beautiful continuation in the center, which destroys white's potential on the top side and in the center. White was not satisfied with this result, and very interestingly, after this move of black, we saw an Atari by white. White hoped that black answers, and only then white captures the group, after which black's continuation is not as good, because now black cannot connect these 2 stones. However, black doesn't have to capture these. Black can recapture the ko. If now white connects, it's not a good option, because now there is no way for white to cleanly capture the corner, and moreover there is a cutting point in white's shape, so white cannot now go back. But white can capture that stone, which reverts the initial threat of black. However, now black recaptures the ko. White found a threat here. If black ignores it, white can split black stones, and perhaps black can still capture these stones of white. However, white's profit is also considerable. Now it's very easy for white to build a big moyo in the center. So black didn't want to agree on it. Black answered. White captured the ko. And now, does black have any threats? Well, black has one. Black can capture this stone, threatening again to capture white's 4 stones. And white cannot answer because now white has no threats on the board, no big threats. So white ignored, black captured, white captured, and that's the end of the ko fight. Very interesting result here. Black doesn't have such a clean way to enter white center as in this variation. However, still black can enter it a little bit by capturing that stone of white. White answered, and for later there will be also this move available. Who is this result good for? Very difficult to judge. A big exchange. We cannot say anything anymore from the flow of the stones because such a big exchange happened, and how can we have any good intuition on who it is good for? So our only way to judge the position is to count points. We already talked about black's points on the top side, 26, 10 points here, 11 points there, then let's say 11 points around here, here potentially a few more, so 15, 62 points for black. And for white, how many should we count on the bottom side? We need to understand what will happen in the endgame. In the endgame, black will play these moves probably in center. The continuation is quite big. Maybe it's not 100% center. Roughly, it should look like this. So in the bottom right corner, white has maybe up to 20 points. Around here, again up to 20 plus comma 46. Then of course a lot of potential in the center, also potential here, but all that potential needs to compensate for 15 points which black already has in his secure territories, and also for the fact that it is black to play, which is usually worth around 6 points. Black clearly has a large move on the right side which claims additional territory or tries to claim. So white is certainly short. If white wants to win, white needs to come up with a good strategic plan. One idea would be to create a large moyo in the center of the board. Maybe play like this, like that, block. This would at first give a lot of points for black, and then it would still be a bit problematic to consolidate the moyo in the center. It is never easy to build territory in the center. That's one of the first strategic lessons which we all learn. So if the moyo ends up being worth only 15 points, then it is not worth it. Black will gain even more on the side. Instead, white comes up with a different plan. Use the influence not to create points, but to fight against a weak group of black. So white tries to make this stone a weak group. One idea is to simply invade, but this is easy for black. Jump out, play here. White tries to get more strength, so white attaches. If black answers in the most common manner, just by Hane, then white can get a lot of center exchanges, which can in turn give white a lot of power against that stone of black. First, white made this exchange. So black doesn't want to follow white's plan. Instead, black played a clamp, trying to connect the stones. If white pushes up, black connects underneath, and well, this ladder works for white. So what is black's plan? If white goes up, certainly black wants to play here, but maybe then black's idea was to let white in and just make sure that the groups on both sides are alive at the cost of a few points of territory in the corner. Yes, this is quite a reasonable plan by black, especially that the group of white is quite thin. So white didn't want to agree on it, and white really wants to cut off that stone at A. So white uses a counter clamp, a very funny sequence of moves we observe here. Black accepted the gift, but white manages to cut off that stone of black. Now the fight starts. Black needs to run out with the stone. Here black unfortunately couldn't play such a move because white can get more liberties and capture black. White makes sure that black has no base, and black needs to run towards the center. However, if black manages to run out or to create life, then probably it will be difficult for white to compensate for all black points. Black gained a few additional points with that sequence, and now also black is going into white's area of influence by creating this group. So it starts to look a little bit like all in from white's side. White needs to kill the group, or if not kill, then attack it very, very successfully to, for example, somehow get all possible points in the center of the board. White first played these center exchanges, and then try to enclose black. But black played quite skillfully here, played exchanges like this first, and then used a beautiful tesuji in white shape on the right side. Can we capture 3 stones of white? Unfortunately, no. If we play like this, white simply connects with a kosumi. But this is the vital point of the shape. Can white now save the 3 stones? Well, it's not an obvious task, but white has a way. First black played this exchange, okay. White has a way. White can attach here. After which, black doesn't have a way to capture white. However, black can squeeze white with this sequence, and after this sequence, black has 2 eyes. Now, if white connects the stone, there is already an eye on the side, because this is a center exchange. So it's enough for black to make a second eye in the center of the board, which means that black successfully made life, and now it won't be a difficult task for black to win this game. White still tries to build points in the center of the board. This move was really required for that. But black continued in a very peaceful manner, just reduced white's territory here and there, then captured the 4 stones, leaving no doubts that the group on the right side is alive. And the players finished the game, but then didn't count the score because Xiao Yiching already saw that the advantage is very large and black wins the game. So that's how the game finished, and thank you for watching.